Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Sudoku Universe. So, today should be our last day. Notably, I have cheated my way through all the easies. At the moment, we don't have infinite unlocked. If I come in here and then solve this one move, that will be the last easy puzzle, and that should now unlock random. So we can look at random and see it starts 7, 8, 9, 3 at the top here, and when we exit and re-enter, it's now 7, 4, 1, which does mean, unless maybe you could save state a 9, 3, then exit and then enter back in. Yes, you can save state on the random, but if you leave, it randomizes. So effectively, with an infinite mode, there's kind of no reason to make a Master Ninja pack or a Pro pack at all. It's redundant, for the lack, it's really redundant. Now, I've constantly compared this game, Sudoku Universe, to the Cracking the Cryptic YouTube page and how he solves puzzles in his games. But when he makes a YouTube video, there's usually a author that handcrafts a puzzle, there's usually extra rules, and there's often a little story that goes along with why you're solving the Sudoku puzzle or the variant of a Sudoku puzzle. Something that would make each puzzle stand out. You're not getting any of that in the Master Ninja packs or the Pro packs. There's basically just a difficulty difference between doing a Pro pack and doing an easy puzzle or a medium puzzle. And that is it. And I also have to point out, we're technically 16% done with all of the 225 puzzles, but how many of these puzzles have I really done, and how many of these have I really cheated? There's 36 that have been completed, and I would say almost certainly 28 of those puzzles were cheated, and I put no thought into them, and I did not gain any real enjoyment from them. So if I was, after this series, to decide to just keep on playing to get achievements that are one letter of the alphabet, although right now I'm getting achievements that are the numbers on the keyboard instead, I wouldn't get any extra achievement enjoyment from it, because I'd just be cheating to fill in the rest of these puzzles, and then a lot of extra work to cheat to fill in the rest of these puzzles, and then a lot of extra work to fill in these puzzles. But yeah, my satisfaction level so far has been pretty terrible, and I'm not expecting anything special from Pro Pack 3 either. This will more than likely be the exact same. We'll turn off the cheating, show only possible moves, and then we'll keep on all the other elements that technically could be considered cheating. There is always an argument as far as like perfect recall, as far as how much that is cheating in a digital game. Some games, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, have really embraced perfect recall and just full on built into the game a log and tells you like the percentages of winning decks that play certain cards, so you can get a hint as to whether you're playing a card that is good or bad, and you can look at the logs to see what has happened before. Whereas Hearthstone, when I was playing Hearthstone many years ago, they didn't have any of those features, and you would have to install an overlay program like Hearthstone Deck Tracker, which maybe that was cheating, but it also was fairly commonplace to be done by players and streamers alike. In the case of Sudoku in particular, I think Perfect Recall is probably a fairly valid move thing to have in video games form, because you are already encouraged to pencil mark things, so you're already using a pencil and paper. Even if you were doing the Sudoku in the real world on a piece of paper, you're already using an advantage by writing things down, which is not perhaps a huge advantage to a lot of people compared to other people who can also write things down. There's only a small selection of people, I imagine, that would do Sudokus that also can't write things down. Right, this is a 5, and this is a 5. Then this can't be a 6, and these can't be a 6, and this can't be a 6. So that has to be a 6. Which means either this is a 6 or this is a 6. I'm going to try for this last puzzle. Do not pencil mark anything else other than what I've done so far. I'm not going to undo my progress, but I'm going to really see if my style of solving these puzzles are more compatible with the idea of finding a solution immediately instead of deducing it with pencil marks. And I don't think that's really going to work. Anywhere there's a 1, and I wonder if these X patterns mean something. Notice that we see quite a few of them. There's an X pattern in each of the corners and in the middle, and then there is a center hint here, 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 and here. So maybe that means something, but would I be able to figure out what it means? That would have also been a major concern if I had, or if I ever do decide to try and do Sudoku puzzles more consistently, is that I'm not sure I would ever memorize any kind of the mathematical tricks. So can't be a 4 here, can't be a 4 here, could be a 4 here, here, or here. I guess we have to do pencil marks at this point. Gonna get away with not doing pencil marks. This could be a 5. This could be a 5. This can be a 5. This could be a 5. This could be a 6. Now, inherently, even if I solve this puzzle in like 15 minutes and somehow find something amazing to love about the puzzle, it's not really going to turn me around on Sudoku Universe itself. It's not ruining Sudoku as a puzzle for me. There are other kinds of puzzles that I would be way worse at trying. If I was trying to play a jigsaw puzzle, I would not have anything to say while doing a jigsaw puzzle game, and there's a ton of those on Steam, and they keep coming, which is an interesting question as to whether there really is a demand to do jigsaw puzzles on Steam, or whether it's just really easy to use I think it's called Puzzle Engine, to make a jigsaw puzzle game and try and sell it on Steam. With the Steam Direct fee being only $100, it's very tempting to think you could make a cheap program for very little time and effort and sell it, pay $100 to put it on Steam, and then hope you sell 100 copies of it for $1. Which technically that wouldn't even come close to breaking even. You would really probably need to sell 300 to 400 copies of a game, because there are extra transaction fees on that. And my general assumption is that a lot of games that get put on Steam through Steam Direct actually don't sell much of anything at all. Best I can guess is when I see a game has 2 or 3 reviews on it, I'm gonna multiply by 10 and assume that they only sold 20 or 30 units of the game. Crossword puzzles by far would be the type of puzzle that would really wreck me. There's just no way I would remember the vocabulary words in a crossword puzzle, or the definitions of words in a crossword puzzle. So either this is a 9 or that's a 9. I could probably do nanograms. That's another math puzzle. But nanograms and hexels in particular, which is a series I've already covered, there's several hexels games. Perhaps too many considering the puzzles are handcrafted, but not that many. But what was great about hexels and what would be great about nanograms in general is that the puzzles and the layouts were different for each puzzle, where Sudoku is always going to be a 9x9 grid unless you're playing some weird variant. And most variants still are a 9x9 grid. Which definitely puts it more into the feeling of feeling something like Minesweeper, where it's pretty much always the same. I have no idea if any more 9s can be placed. I don't think I can do anything more with the 2s. Can we do anything with the 3s? That might be a 3. Might be a 3. Let's just try and do this properly then. Let's just hit a cell and fill in every single cell. This is what I would prefer it to be is that. Then I'd like to go, well, I see a 5 here, so that's not a 5. I see a 6 here, so that's not a 6. I see a 3 here, so that's not it. I see an 8 and a 9 here, so it's not that or not that. I see a 7 here, so it's not that. So it can only be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now, is that really any different than just looking to see if it could be a 1 and marking a 1, looking to see if you see a 2 and then marking a possible 2, looking to see if you're 3 and then skipping that, looking to see if you see a 4 and then marking that it could possibly be a 4, seeing a 5 here, seeing a 6 here, so skipping those, seeing a 7 here, skipping that, seeing an 8 here, so skipping that, and then looking to see if there's a 9. Is that really that much different to just be additive in your way of thinking instead of deductive? No, but there is a mental block that I feel, just a tiny little resistance in the way my brain wants to flow, in that we're additive in the first step and then we're deductive in the next step to reduce these numbers. It's the, I guess, mental equivalent to building something, building a tall tower of cards and then knocking it down. Some people can do that very easily without any small anxiety, whereas other people don't want to see their efforts, even their minuscule efforts, diminished and destroyed. Could this be a 7? This can't be a 1, can't be a 2, can't be a 3. Could this be a 4? Yes. Can't be a 5. Can't be a 6. Could it be a 7? Yes. This, I guess, can be a 1. Can be a 2. Can't be a 3. Could it be a 4? Possibly. Can't be a 5. Can't be a 6. Could it be a 7? Okay. So at least we've narrowed down this cube somewhat. But I don't think that really helps too much with 1s, nor does it really help too much with 2s. And I imagine if I was to just go through the rest of this list, it would still be the exact same situation. Yeah. So, continue to fill in these. Can this be a 1? Possibly. Can this be a 2? Possibly. Can it be a 3? No. Can it be a 4? No. Can it be a 5? No. Can it be a 6? No. Can it be a 7? Possibly. Can it be an 8? Possibly. Can it be a 9? No, it can't be an 8 because there's an 8 here. Can this one be a 1? Possibly. Can it be a 2 or 3? No. Can it be a 4? Possibly. Can it be a 5? No. Can it be a 6? No, because there's a 6 there. Can it be a 7? Possibly. It can't be an 8 or 9. I probably, if I was going to get into doing Sudokus, should also develop better vocabulary of just how to explain. Although, in fairness, I don't even think cracking the cryptic is really great at that. If I'm going to criticize a much bigger YouTuber, I think he does sometimes just go quiet as he's thinking, and I think he does sometimes use ways of describing the situation that are somewhat cryptic, ironically, I'm sure. And I think sometimes he just doesn't quite explain thoroughly enough. Of course, the opposite of that problem, if you went too far in the other direction, would be to over-explain something, like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime first Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series, when every time they played Pot of Greed, which was almost every episode, it felt like they would explain that the Pot of Greed card lets you draw 2 extra cards from your deck. Which, yeah. While that would have been helpful the first 2 or 3 times you saw the card, or if you haven't seen it in a while, it was incredibly repetitive in the cartoon series. Can this be 9? I guess it can. More modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series probably would explain the cards just by, or not bother to explain the cards at all. Although it still seems like they kind of explain the cards quite a bit as they're introducing new cards and trying to promote new cards. And this is just turning into a mess very quickly, both in solving the Sudoku puzzle and in the fact that I am losing attention span as far as actually caring about trying to discuss the Sudoku or criticize it. Criticize the game itself. Let's see. This should be fairly easy to fill in, because it really can only be like a 1, a 4, and a 6, and the 6 would block that. So then this one should only be 1 and 4. No, it can't be 6. Wrong about that. I tried to jump ahead instead of just doing it correctly. I need to look to see if there's a 2. There isn't a 2, so that can be a 2. I need to look and see there's a 3. I need to look to see if there's a 4. I don't see a 4. There is a 5. There's a 6, a 7, an 8, and a 9. So it could be 1, 2, or 4. This one can be 1, but it can't be 2. It can be 4, but there should be another number I'm missing, which is 5. No, it's not 5. What's the number I'm missing? A 1, a 2, a 4. Yeah. But this isn't 2. And so if we need a 2 here, then that's got to be 2, and then that's going to be 1 and 4. Okay. And if you don't have show possible moves enabled as a hint, the 2 in that spot and that spot won't go away. So this is a 1, a 4, and a 7. Okay. I guess we have to continue to fill this in. Again, I don't think just trying to cross-reference by highlighting these helps. If anything, I think this hurts because it feels like this would always be the solution, and honestly, it isn't. It just is a distraction. When my eyes go over here to look at these numbers, my eyes are moving away from and potentially forgetting what I'm supposed to be looking at over here. Alright. So let's answer this question. Can this be a 1? Yes. Can this be a 2? Yes. Can it be a 3? No. Can it be a 4? No. Can it be a 5? No. Can it be a 6? No. Can it be a 7? I think the answer to that is yes. Can it be an 8? No. Can it be a 9? Yes. Can this one be a 1? Possibly. So let's mark a 1 and not a 4. Can it be a 2? Possibly. Can it be a 3? No. Can it be a 4? No. Can it be a 5? No. Can it be a 6? Possibly. Can it be a 7? Possibly. Can it be an 8? No, and it can't be a 9. Can this be a 1? No. Was that one set as a 5? No. Can this be a 2? No. Can it be a 3? No. Can it be a 4? No. Can it be a 5? Seems like the answer to that is yes. Seems like 6 would be the next question. Could be. Could it be a 7? Could it be an 8? No. Could it be a 9? No. And we almost certainly are just going to have to fill this all in. It's already been 20 minutes to get to this spot. Could this be a 4? Possibly. Could this be a 5? No. Can it be a 6? No. Could it be a 7? Possibly. Could it be an 8? No. Could it be a 9? No. Can't be a 1. Can't be a 2. Can't be a 3. Could it be a 4? Could it be a 5? No. Could it be a 6? Possibly. Could it be a 7? Possibly. Could it be an 8? Possibly. Can't be a 9. One is a possibility. 2 is a possibility. 4 is a possibility. 7 is a possibility. 8 is not a possibility, but 9 is. 1 is a possibility. 2 is a possibility. I'm just clicking the wrong things over and over again. 5 is not a possibility. 6 is not a possibility. 7 is a possibility. 8 is a possibility. Can't be 1. Can't be 2. Can't be 3. Could be 4. Could be 5. Can't be 6. Could be 7. Could be 8. Again, we're just filling in everything. So it's like it won't even start to even find a single answer, probably, until you've committed way too much time. And if this was, say, a free cell game, or some of the more simplistic card match games that they call solitaire games on Steam, you'd like a square to kind of jiggle if you just hesitated for a while and give you a hint, or a little bit of sparkly, or there'd be a button. You don't want the game to actually assist you in any way it possibly could to make it easier. That's another problem with like board games. Almost all of the board games that have been ported to video game formats don't change how they play much. And that's fine if you just want to make a classic mode. But it, to me, makes a lot of sense that you would want a faster paced, more interactive experience in a video game form of a board game, whether you're talking Monopoly or Clue. They've made several Monopoly games, and most of them are pretty bad. And you might as well just pull out the actual Monopoly game and play on the table in the real world. Tabletop Simulator is probably the only board game you should ever buy, even though I think it comes with a lot of DLC you can buy on top of it for that reason. But even in that case, I don't think Tabletop Simulator is doing anything special. And in fairness to like Monopoly, they have made mobile games that use the Monopoly board but then play in completely different ways. The problem with those is they're usually not very good either. And I think Hasbro in particular, owning almost all the mainstream popular board games, is, or at least in the past was, intentionally trying to make poor video game versions, because selling what is probably about $2.50 worth of plastic and cardboard is probably way more profitable than selling and developing and maintaining a board game in the digital form factor. Yeah. A lot of board games have been made by Asmodee Digital, and often they kind of feel like they are failing when Asmodee Digital makes a board game to even get the basics correct, just to make a game that isn't crashy, to make a game that has enough of a community to have multiplayer, since it's really silly to have single player only things. But then some of the Hasbro direct sold games are even worse, in that they have massive amounts of DLC and the price is way too high. Or Hasbro will remove one version of Clue to sell you a new version of Clue with even more DLC. 6 can't be here. 7 maybe. 9 maybe. Yeah. One game that I would have really loved to see come to Steam is Heroes Quest, because that is a prime example of a board game that was inspired by model making and Dungeons and Dragons. What people think Dungeons and Dragons is, when it really isn't. It's actually probably closer to like Warhammer, in that Hero Quest gives you a bunch of plastic pieces and a bunch of plastic figurines, where Dungeons and Dragons, in its purest form, is just a purely narrative experience. you might have some prop figurines and maybe a prop layout board to show where your characters are walking around, but it's not based on dice rolls to move your character one square forward or back. Hero's Quest is designed that way. There is a fan-made Android game I found that has some of the feeling of Hero's Quest, but still it plays completely different and feels completely different. I have a weird nostalgia in particular for Hero's Quest since I literally put it together and played it once. It's such a giant amount of time and commitment. But it was certainly part of an era back in the early 90s, late 80s, where board games were extremely big and extremely popular. Video games hadn't taken over, the technology wasn't that good, so you could sell a board game or a tabletop game of some sort that had interesting plastic pieces like Mousetrap. More and more you would have games trying to be as complicated and have as high of a piece count as they can sell to you. Of course, that eventually in part led to the decline of board games, mainstream board games, from being popular, and the hardcore fan base of board games eventually had a resurgence, playing smaller, more independent board games, which really just highlights how terrible Hasbro in particular handled it. Hasbro sat on its laurels selling Monopoly every year for Christmas for decades without changing anything at all, licensing out Monopoly to gift shops and football stadiums, so you might have a Monopoly for your favorite NFL team. But they didn't really try to change any of the pieces or any of the rules in Monopoly for decades, and once they did start to try and change things, it was too little too late, and people that still enjoyed or thought they enjoyed Monopoly couldn't handle the change. And there probably, and this is just an opinion, I'll throw it out there probably aren't that many people that really enjoy Monopoly as much as they think they do. Monopoly is a pretty awful game. It was designed literally to be unfun and show the pointlessness and the awfulness of capitalism, and yet people instead embrace it as a family versus family cutthroat capitalism simulator, family member versus family member. There's clearly room for improvement. I guess Clue would have been my favorite board game, and there's room for improvement on that too. Like, the way Clue plays is weird when half of the game is based on random dice rolls as to whether you can reach a room or not to make a suggestion or an accusation. You would want it to just play faster. And certainly people are much more ADHD in the way they move, and that they do not have cold, lonely winter nights with nothing else to do. You have the internet, you have TV. It is surprising Netflix doesn't have didn't even try to have board games on their streaming app, and Netflix has since given up on putting any interactive video in their streaming app. They're gonna instead do games just via the cell phone app, so you could sideload an Android game if you have a Netflix account. But I could certainly have seen simplistic board games like Monopoly coming free with a subscription to Netflix. One, 3, and 6 are the only options here. So it can't be 6. Can be 3. Can be 1. This could be 1. I'm pretty sure. And this could be 6. We are still slowly, nearly 40 minutes in here, filling all of this out. On top of which, I'm talking and not paying attention, which might work. It wouldn't be the first time I've played a game and had most of my attention diverted elsewhere and just let my subconscious take over. That inherently doesn't have to fail as a concept, but for the level of precision that this game really is calling for, I would heavily suspect I've probably made a mistake already. I don't think I've filled in a single number in 10 minutes. I've only pencil marked numbers. There is definitely an argument also for board games in video game format that they probably should have a mobile version. I'm really surprised that Steam doesn't have a way in which you could purchase an Android version of an app and have it in your Steam library, or you purchase the PC version of a app game and you get an Android version also. It is weird that we have this incompatibility between cell phones and PC computers, Windows PCs, and even Linux PCs. Even if you were running Linux, you still probably aren't running a Linux that can run Android apps perfectly. That's a step backwards, and certainly gives them too many people an excuse to try and sell two different versions of the game. You have things like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and Marvel Snap that have PC versions and Windows versions and Android versions, but those are free-to-play games, so they don't charge anything to install them and have cross compatibility, but they aren't the same games either. They're different variants. Almost done. At which point I do think I'm just going to be totally lost. Can this be a 1? Can it be a 4 or 5? Can it be a 6? Can it be a 7? Can it be an 8? Yeah. can't be a 2, can be a 3, can't be a 5, can't be a 6, can't be a 7, could be an 8, can't be a 9. Could be a 4, can't be a 5, can't be a 6, can't be a 7, could be an 8, can't be a 9, could be a 1, can't be a 2, could be a 3, can't be a 4, could be a 5, can't be a 6, can't be a 7, can't be an 8, can't be a 9. Almost everything is going to have a 1 in it. So it would very possibly make sense just to try and like right click on this one and see if that removed all the 1 pencil marks. We'll experiment with that later, though I don't want to mess up the progress I've made so far, if I have truly made any progress. I am certainly doubting myself on that point. One of the things that's a problem about being a content creator is that you're really not contributing much to the creation of the content if you just start playing music into your headphones or playing music in the background while playing a game or playing a podcast and listening to somebody else, which is more likely what I would do normally if I was just playing this game. Although in that case, I still find plenty of time to listen to way too many podcasts on a daily basis, and often I'm just listening to the same repeated podcasts or YouTube videos over and over again, which I should be watching. I would like to see more fresh, new content. And I guess that's one thing my channel can promise you. If nothing else, you will get a lot of fresh, new content. No accounting for quality there, but it will be new content. So at this point, I don't know. I think I've done everything. I think I've manually gone to every single square, and it took 45 minutes to mark everything. And ones are probably absolutely worthless, so let's start with 9s. We can, first of all, take off this 9 because that's wrong. And then we can take off this 9 and that 9 because that's wrong. And if a 9 is going to be here, then we can take off, whoops, far too easy. I've made a misclick in almost every puzzle I've done. The chance of making a mistake is way, way too high. Well, regardless, that solved some problems. Let's look at 8 now. Let's see. The 8 here is wrong because of that. And can we learn anything else? The 8 here is wrong. Yeah, I think we're really seeing the core of my problem and why I've struggled with so many of these more difficult puzzles, is that unless a puzzle is super easy, I'm making mistakes. I'm pencil marking the wrong places, and that is cascading. Is it really true that every single one of these, except for this, could be a 7? Well, no, it can't be that, because we know this or this has to be a 7. So that can't be a 7, and that can't be a 7. Okay. Do we have anything else that would be helpful? No. Anything I'm seeing immediately, at least. Moving on to 6s. That's wrong. And that's wrong. This is wrong. So potentially this is the only option. Is this could be a 4. Can we double check this? Can't be a 1 because of this, can't be a 2 because of this, can't be a 3 because of this. Could be a 4. Can't be a 5 because of this. Can't be a 6 because of this. Can't be a 7 because of this. Can't be an 8 because of this. And can't be a 9 because of that. So that is a 4. Which then eliminates that. 4. And eliminates these 4s here. Moving the 5s. This is wrong. That can't be a 5. This is wrong. That can't be a 5. Either this or this is a 5. And this is wrong. That can't be a 5. Either that or that is 5. 4s. This is wrong. I'm really, really bad at this. Like, really, really bad at this. Way worse at this than I thought I would be. Could this be a 4? Looks like it could be. Could this be a 4? Looks like it could be. Moving on to 3s. That's wrong. That's wrong. It definitely shows where the hint to show only suggests only possible moves is really going to reinforce a bad player, which I have to describe myself as a bad player at this point. It's going to really assist and over assist a bad player far too much. It's not really doing anything to train me as a bad player to stop being a bad player, however. And so that is certainly something to consider. And yeah, I think the case with the 1s probably can't be corrected at the moment, since we literally only have one hint. I just have to go back through this cycle again. But it might once again be a case where this can't go any further. There's another mistake. And there's another mistake. And I do think I'm still just finding mistakes. I don't think I'm actually filling in numbers and then reducing the possibilities. All of them should be much closer to this, where there's only just a couple of pairs of locations. At least that's what it feels like it should be. Almost all of these are mental mistakes too. It's not just a case of me clicking in the wrong place. Is either here or here. 3 is then either here or here, and here and here. Okay, for this square, if the 2 can only be here and the 2 can only be here, because the 2 can't be here, and for some reason the 2 can't be here because of this, then we know that can't be a 2, and we know that can't be a 2, so that cleans it up a little bit. And then if this can't be a 2 and this can't be a 2, could this be a 2? Seems like it could be. But yeah, we're solving a trick here that we probably haven't even seen before. If this has to be a 2 or this has to be a 2 because this can't be a 2, then we know that can't be a 2, and then that can't be a 2. Okay. Maybe this is how a lot of this trickiness is supposed to go. But I think that would only work if a number crosses out something through the center. I don't think it works if it crosses something out in the corner. 4 could be here or here. If this 4 has to be here or here, this is 1 or 4, then we know this is not 4. And if the 1 and 1 are there, we know that's not a 1, which implies to me this may just be a 5. Can't be a 1, can't be a 2, can't be a 3, can't be a 4, might be a 5, can't be a 6, can't be a 7, and 8, or 9. It's got to be a 5. Okay. And then that means we can get rid of that 5. Also means we can get rid of that 5. Is there anything more we can do with 4s? We have a 1, 4, and 8. But seemingly we can't put a 3 here, can't put a 3 here. We need a 3 in this row. We might be able to put a 3 there. So we have a 1 and 3 pair here. So I think it's probably a case that the 1 and the 3 is there. Let's not do anything with that yet though. C5 is now lining up so that we have finally gotten one set at nearly an hour, all the 5s marked, with a little guarantee that it's even right. Six. Could this be a 6? Feels like it could be a 6. This can't be a 6. And this can't be a 6, which means this is a 6. Or that's a 6. Yeah, it doesn't look like it can do anything more. 7 is still a major mess. Guess probably not a big surprise since we only have 2 hints on the 7. 8. Either that or either that is 8. Nines. We have a 7, 9. We have a 4, 9, and we have 4, 6 in the middle. It just feels like there's gotta be some other way to solve this. There's way too many suggestions and pencil marks in every row. And you would think, well, the 1 and 4 here means that can't be a 1 and that can't be a 1, so we know it's either a 3 or a 6 here. This 1 and 4 and this 1 and 4 doesn't, I think, help you any further than that. But it feels like this would be part of the solution. Well, we're at an hour though, and honestly, I just can't care enough to try any harder. So let's just cheat. Yeah, I'm only willing to commit to an hour before cheating. So let's see if by clicking on any of these we can be shown something different. It says this could be a 9. A 9 here or a 9 here does seem doable. I'm not really expecting too much to change here. This could be a 2 or a 7, it says. So this would be an indication of where I messed up by not adding all the possibilities. It says it could be a 1. I've got a 2. I imagine I've made fewer mistakes in this direction. But it does seem like I possibly have just skipped over sevens in particular. So that didn't lead to a single number even being filled in, but it did lead to several additional pencil marks. So maybe that jumped me ahead mentally a little bit. But I don't know if it really did, because like we know this is a 1 and 4 unless we're totally wrong. So it's saying that this possibly could be a 1 is not right. Or that this could possibly be a 1 is not right. Then I don't know if there's anything else we can even really take from that. We know that this has to be a 2, so it's saying this could be a 2, it's not right. And it's saying this could be a 2, it's not right. Yeah, all it did was undo the progress I'd already made, unless I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, well then I'm in major amounts of trouble then. I would say we're easily at 54% chance of succeeding at this puzzle right now. And that chance is just going to slide down lower and lower as I continue forward and take longer. Just don't even see what the next step would be. Seven here and a 7 or 7 here. Can't have a 7 here. So that's not a 7. And that's not a 7. And that's not a 7. Okay. Inevitably, there's somebody yelling at the screen right now. Let's see. Could this be an 8? Could this be an 8? No, because they're both blocked by that. And then this is blocked by this, and this is blocked by this. So this 8 eliminates that from being an 8. Which Means this has to be an 8. Okay. Which then means either this is an 8, which it can't be because of that, so that has to be an 8. Okay. Are we finally going to get things falling in line now? Finally. Possibly. Because now we just have a pair of 8 here, or 8 here, or 8 here, or 8 here. 9. Can it be proven in any other way? Okay, well, 9 can't be here. 9 has to be here, which means that is not a 9, and that is not a 9. 'Cause probably can't do anything with the ones. So we'll skip to the 2s. Can we do anything with the 2s? No, I don't think so. Skip to the 3s. 3 would be here or here. Nothing more. Four has to be here or here. That doesn't mean much there. 4 has to be here or here. Doesn't mean much. 4, I think, has to be here. The 4 can't be here, and the 4 wouldn't be there. Could this be a 4? No. None of these can. Which that then limits us down to this and this, meaning that's not a 4. We're looking for a 1, a 4, and a 7. Could a 1 be here? No. Could a 4 be here? No. So that's got to be 7. Could a 4 be here? No. So that's got to be 1. That makes that a 4. Finally, we are making progress. That makes this a 4. And if none of these can be 4 and none of these can be 4, and this can't be a 4 because of this, and I'm pretty sure this can't be a 4. Yeah, this has to be 4. Which eliminates all the possibilities of a 4, except for here in that section. Extremely, extremely slow progress, but I do think we're getting it. Of course, I've said that before and then been proven wrong. 6 blocks all these. 6 blocks all these. These are filled in. So this has to be 6. Which we're looking for. A 1 can't be here. A 7 can be here. An 8 can't be here. And a 3 can't be here. Which makes that 7. A 1 could be here, but we know it isn't because of that, so this is 3. So that makes that 1. I'm trusting my pencil marks here. be right. Probably somewhat stupidly trusting the pencil marks to be right. You can kind of only trust the pencil marks if you filled in everything first and foremost. Like, looking at this implies to me that this would be 6, and it can't be 6 because 6 blocks all of this, and 6 blocks all of this, which means 6 has to be here. So I marked something incorrectly. I'm hoping that was the only mistake I've made so far. But no, there are no possible moves here. This should be a 4, but that's marked there. And I cannot right click on 4s just to erase all the 4s. And if this isn't a 4, then something here has to be a 4. Once again, we are doomed. Almost certainly. This is almost certainly a case where, despite my best efforts, I'm gonna find I've made a mistake and it will just be unrecoverable, and that really the only solution of all the things I've tried several different strategies that I could think of, would be to reset the puzzle completely. Just have a fresh start. As soon as something is suspect, as soon as the answer can't possibly be right. And nobody wants to do that. I wouldn't mind in an interactive version of Sudoku if you make a mistake that it would just kind of erase several random pieces in places also to punish you without making you full-on reset. That is a, I think, pretty valid compromise to a digital version of Sudoku. And I think this highlights what you should be trying to achieve if you're going to convert a real-world game, whether it's a pen and paper game or a tabletop game or a board game, something like that, to the virtual video game world. Is you no longer are constrained to the limitations of a real-world situation, so there should be improvements. It should be better. In the same way that movies should be better than real life and not just bland documentaries or repeating of what would happen in the real world. 7 still looks like a total mess. Almost certainly that's I don't think there's too much more to do, though. I think this is wrong. Something is wrong. So what could we do to potentially fix that? If we're assuming this 5 and 4 correct, then the other things that are pointing to this, one of these have to be incorrect. If I did that, it gives me an 8. Which then I would have to put like an 8 over here, which I can't. And I can't put an 8 here. Like this is a black hint, no 8s here. This is a black hint, no 8s here. The 8 either has to be here or here. This still can't be a 7. A 7 here or 7 here. Okay. And that's wrong. Yeah. I don't think there's any recovering from this. We've got one bit of bad information. And unless we were going to assume we were correct with the 3s and that all other information is wrong. And even at that, the reset would be crazy. It would be just to eliminate everything that isn't a 3. And I don't think this is a recovery strategy either. I'm not sure there are any recovery strategies. So here's resetting the puzzle effectively by keeping the 3s. Which, okay. If I'm supposed to do that, and I was going to cheat, can I find a single thing that would have just one option as far as a pencil mark, a possible move? Well, this 3, let's get rid of that. This one can only be 4. Interesting. This one, let's get rid of that. Can only be 1. Let's go ahead and just get rid of that 3. So now we've effectively reset the whole puzzle from scratch. we're just trying to brute force all the possibilities. This can be only a 6. It's a 5-3. That's a 5-8. That's an 8. And that's a 5. And that's a 3. So there's a whole row here that gets you started. And I would think that there would be a column from that takes you further, but it doesn't inherently have to be the case. This apparently can only be a 2. It can't be an 8. Or what is the other number? It can't be a 3 because of that. So that's a 3. And so it is a case that the 3s would synergize in such a way that 3 can only be there. So it wasn't too off to keep the 3s, although I'm not 100% sure that these 3 spots were where the 3s were. This one could be a 6 or 7, this could be a 6 or 7. If we mark both of these as 6 and 7s, then all the other options have to be the possibilities there. I'm not sure that helped as much as I would have liked it to. You have a 2, a 4, and a 2, a 4, and an 8 on that. 1 and 4, 1 and 4. Okay. So if we have only the options of a 1 and 4 here, then that has to be a 2. And that has to be a 9. And this can only be a 5 or 6. This can only be a 5. Which makes that a 6. 1, 2, 7. Probably can't be filled in from that spot. 4 and 7, 1 and 7. If we need a 2 in this row, it can't be in this group, and it can't be in this group. So, you know that has to be 2. Which means that's either 1 or 7. We know it's 6 or 7 here, so we know then that's 1. Which means this is either 4 or 8. I think there's more still that would have to be figured out. 1, 7. Nope. 127, 127, 27. Does that help me in any way to mark these extra pieces? Not really. If I was to just try to fill in this, there might be something here with a 179 and a 79. If we could get some confirmation that let's see, well, we see that there's a 2 here or 2 here, which means that can't be 2, which interestingly makes that 7. This could be 2-9, or this could be 2-9. This isn't a 2. I guess this can only be a 4. Which makes that only an 8. Which makes that only a 4. Makes that only a 6. Makes that only a 5. Makes that a 2. And we've messed up again. And I think this is probably the absolute perfect point to just end this series. Like, all the cheating in the world, all the attempt here, somehow still has landed me with bad knowledge. Just straight up incorrect information. Can't turn the highlight on the 3s off easily because I'm hovering over them. Yep. Something here. Is inaccurate. I don't think I've actually recovered from that. Or 7 or 4-2. That makes that 7. This makes this 2 here. Which means that should be 1, but then that's wrong. So there's something just wrong here and here. Yep. Okay. So we end on, I suppose, the reality of the situation versus the desired outcome of the situation. 16% of puzzles have been done here. I really only did about 6 or 7 of them properly. Most of them I cheated, and if I was going to go any further, I would just cheat more of them, probably just using an online solver instead of even just cheating using the internal hint system. You have to jump through too many hoops frankly, to unlock the infinite, which should have just been unlocked by default. And once you had an infinite generator, then each of these 30 puzzles needed to have at least a unique name to them that might give a hint as to how to solve the puzzle, or on the serial number or something. It only compounds that problem when you introduce Master Ninja puzzles that don't really seem any different unless they're trying to draw some kind of picture with the hints. There might be a version of Sudoku where you use colors instead of numbers too, or shapes. You could certainly do it that way, although that'd probably just complicate it more. But yeah, you have to jump through hoops to do all the medium to unlock infinite medium. You have to jump through hoops to do all the hards to unlock infinite hard. And then there's just no point in Master Ninja and Pro Pack 2, Pro Pack 3 to exist. Now, I will applaud the game for at least just adding it to get the numbers higher as an advertisement point instead of trying to sell DLC. $2.99, you're probably going to get these games on some kind of Steam sale, or at the very least you could get it on a bundle for $6. It's not asking that much, but it is still very high on what a cheap game on Steam would cost. Cheap games now going for 69 cents, sometimes even lower than like 50 cents each when on sale. And inherently I can't recommend Sudoku Universe, nor do I think it would be worth it to investigate Sudoku Jigsaw or Sudoku Killer when I know cracking the cryptics Sudoku puzzles exist, and from what I see, they just have a much better interactive interface. There's nothing particularly wrong with this interface. It's got all the basics: full screen, resolutions, language settings, although weirdly it does have like what looks like 2 Japanese settings, one of which I imagine might be simplified Japanese, where the other might be traditional Japanese, but both of these symbols look like they say just Japanese. The controls are clunky in this game because the boxes are too small. It's not quite zoomed in enough, and it doesn't automatically zoom in when you click on a box. The keyboard inputs are fine, but not super great. The hint systems are mostly useless because there is no score system. Showing errors only shows errors at the last second, not really helping you avoid mistakes. Highlighting effective areas is somewhat helpful, but you can't change what the highlight looks like. There are several background settings you can change, but I guess you have to actually be in a puzzle to change those. But not custom color pickers for different backgrounds, and not an option to just have a black background with white text on it for high contrast if you have eyesight. I imagine people with visual impairments might want to play Sudoku games since they don't require fast twitch actions, and you're not particularly accommodating for that. The music is repetitive and I think wrongly picked. Very often you see in games it feels like the music is just whatever the person could find at the Unity asset store, which I assume is what this is what I describe as a one-screen Unity game, simple Unity game, puzzle game. The only hint that really is helpful is showing only possible moves, and still it's not perfectly helpful. The number indicator is probably a distraction. Save states are unlikely to be needed unless you're going to guess, which if you're guessing in Sudoku, you're playing it wrong. And undo buttons, redo buttons are only going to be helpful if you recognize where you made a mistake in the exact same way that a save state would be helpful. Most people aren't going to recognize if they made a mistake 5 steps ago or 20 steps ago. Yeah, overall, I am just left frustrated. It's weird that the controller color theme is only available here. But yeah. Definitely some people wouldn't have wanted color gradients and they would have just wanted solid color. So it would have been nice if you could use a color picker or even type in just a hexadecimal color code. And then dark themes here still have their problems where while I might enjoy the gray or black background here, I'm not going to enjoy a gray on gray on gray. Yeah, there's not enough options here. If you're going to throw in these options, ideally you would want to be able to pick the color of the background or 2 colors of a gradient in which it would phase in between, and the color of the backgrounds of the cells, the colors of the lines in between the cells, and the colors of the text, the numbers. And if you can adjust that, why not also have a adjustment on size in general to just zoom everything in a little bit bigger? Yeah, pretty obviously you could squeeze this right to the edge of a screen of a 1080p screen and then have just the timer and the buttons on the side, and I would have appreciated that a lot more. The sound effects are pretty terrible on top of the music being pretty terrible. Weirdly, I don't know if there is any credits in this game. I don't think there are. I'm not seeing a single copyright or anything. I know that there was a screen that popped up when I first launched the game, but it's fairly strange to not have a button that would lead to credits, particularly since they have 3 buttons here that would lead to purchasing more Sudoku games. More than likely, since I've been fairly burnt out on Sudoku, and I will one final time apologize if I'm mispronouncing it wrong. I am mispronouncing it. It should be Sudoku, and I've been calling it Sudoku, like Count Dooku from Star Wars this whole time. But yeah, Japanese, really, it should be broken up into groups of 2 letters, 2 or 3 letters. So it should be Sudoku. But yeah, I think I'm fairly burnt out on Sudoku, so I may, in a year or 2, grab one of the Cracking the Cryptic games. But yeah, mostly I've just taught myself that I'm not anywhere good enough at Sudoku to make that a game I would play normally. Nor am I particularly that big of a fan of it. I would also point out that I would want a lot more variety, and even the Cracking the Cryptic games don't tend to have that variety. So if I buy Sudoku Classic from Cracking the Cryptic, it will just be Sudoku games like this. It won't be killer Sudokus or Jigsaw because it's Sudokus. honestly, it should, if you were going to make a game like this, it should be more like an activity book that you would buy in the real world, where you have some jigsaw puzzles, some Sudokus, but you keep it varied so that you don't have to just focus on one thing overall. It's too specialized, frankly, for its own good. Anyways, I don't want to ramble on too long. These have been really, really long episodes. That's going to be it for this series. I would recommend, if you want to watch something else, going to my YouTube page and clicking on the playlist, searching for Hex Cells. The Hex Cell series that I covered, I am pretty sure I covered all the puzzles beginning to end, because all the puzzles were much more unique and interesting. And so if you want a fuller, much longer puzzle solving experience, that would be my recommendation. Yep, and I'll leave it at that. That's it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because that helps me with YouTube. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media, there might be some links down below in the description. And if you want to support me further, there's also a link to Patreon. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.